Judge Julie. Bailiff, what's our next case? Ah, yes. Miss Sanders? I understand you have a complaint against Mrs. Morrison. Absolutely. I'm here on behalf of my daughter Isabel, who, if not for the negligence of her gym teacher, Mrs. Morrison, she would not be in the hospital right now, missing several teeth. Now, Miss Sanders, would you like to enlighten me as to why Isabel is missing some teeth? It was terrible. I was just sitting at work and I got a call from the principal saying that my Izzy got struck in the face by a golf club. I drove straight to the hospital and Izzy told me she got struck in the face by the boy in front of her that was practicing his swing. It is important when engaged in activities that may cause a higher risk of injuries that teachers supervise more closely to their students and ensure they are aware of the dangers involved prior to participation. Your Honor, I'm aware of the duty of care that I need to provide to my students. However, I assure you that I took all the necessary precautions to ensure the safety of the students in my gym class. So you're saying you acted as a reasonable, prudent parent in this case. Let me explain. I took a course this summer. It was a 4-week course on how to teach golf. We used wiffle balls instead of golf balls, and I also went over the safety precautions prior to starting the activities. I follow you. Go on. How did this accident occur? Your Honor, I have 37 students in my class, and therefore it's very difficult to keep an eye on each one. At the time of the accident, I was on the other side of the gym helping another student. She was not helping a group of students. I bet she wasn't even in the gym at the time. Order my court! Miss Sanders, I will get to you. Please remain quiet. Mrs. Morrison, will you please tell me how your classroom management skills are with all these students in your class? Well, you see, this class is very disobedient and at times doesn't listen to me because of the huge class size. However, I told students not to—
Mrs. Morrison, you are aware that you must do more than simply tell your students not to do something. You must ensure 4 things. Number 1, are your students properly trained and coached to perform the skill properly and avoid danger? Number 2, is your equipment adequate and suitably arranged? Number 3, if the performance is dangerous, please be sure to provide proper supervision. And number 4, be sure the activity is suitable to the age and condition of your students.
Your Honor, I can assure you that my 12-year-old daughter has never swung a golf club in her life before. Is this really the age you should start playing golf at? My rule of thumb is if you're under the age of 6, you probably should not be participating in these activities because you're at that age where you might not be capable. Between the ages of 7 and 14, I'd like to think you're somewhat capable of participating. So how did you organize 37 students? I had students in groups of 5, and I had these groups spread out among the gym and line up. So the person in the front of the line would swing, the rest would wait in line. Now, I had a whistle, so students knew when to pick up their ball and when to go back into the lineup. But unfortunately, I noticed some students were being kind of wishy-washy, not paying attention. And that's when Isabel got too close to the swinger in front of her and got smacked in the jaw. Then what did you do? I called a student down to the office while I tried to assist Isabel. They took her away to the ambulance. Okay, thank you. Miss Sanders, would you like to add on to this? We are dealing with a class of 37 students that are only 12 years old. My daughter always said that her phys ed class was unorganized and uncontrolled, and why would it not be? So you believe the students were left to their own devices? They were left to their own devices to decide when it was time to hit and when it was time to switch positions. There was also no whistle blown at the time that my daughter got struck. And Mrs. Morrison, you were at the opposite side of the gym? Yes, I was helping students on the opposite side of the gym, but Your Honor, there was an assumption of risk. The participant was well aware of and understood the risks inherent in the activity and consented to participation knowing that injury may occur. I will allow a 5-minute recess. The jury has discussed the issue and have come to a conclusion. This particular activity has a greater risk associated with it, and therefore Mrs. Morrison should have taken closer measures to ensure there was better supervision. However, the plaintiff was not actively in the golf practice at the time, but was merely waiting her turn. Being hit by the student was not a risk of the game and did not result in the student being challenged to reach her full potential. Mrs. Morrison, you have done everything to prevent injuries from occurring, taking a course of action, creating lines, having a whistle. You even took a course this summer. This was an accident, of course, and because I see you acting as a reasonable, prudent parent in this case, I mean, what can you do? This class will be remanded for further proceedings based on the conflicting evidence of how this class was conducted. Court adjourned.